I'm about to break a promise. We had an agreement, we had a contract, and I'm about to break it because you said last week, you said, Michael, can this be the last time? Can this be the last time we talk about Chris Rock and Will Smith? And I'm kind of breaking the contract because
there was an out clause. Remember the out clause?
The out clause was
barring developments. Yeah. So I don't necessarily.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Developments. So fair game.
I'm not going to talk much about Will Smith. I will talk about Chris Rock though. And
okay. I'll talk about.
I know I told you. Okay. Yeah. You talk about Will Smith. I'll talk about Chris Rock. I told you last week that I was going to go see Chris Rock in Boston at the Wilbur Theater. What I didn't know was that I was actually going to see Chris Rock in his dressing room before the show and after the show.
Before and after.
Before and after. Before and after. Now shout out.
That's VIP right there. After is like, there might be a parade of people after. Before and after? Woo.
Before and after.
Woo.
Before and after. Woo. Now shout out to my co-author right there.
Hey, who's that guy?
Who's
just some Hall of Fame coach. And his
Hall of Fame coach wife. Bill Cowher. That's right. Bill Cowher set it up. So we're going into the Wilbur Theater in Boston, walking through, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is not the way to our seats.
It was like Goodfellas. You're walking through the kitchen, you're walking through the back, and then he kissed me.
Hold on. Hold on. I think we're underneath the stage. One of those old theaters. It's Boston. Everything is old in Boston. The first this and the first that. We walk back to his dressing room, and he's in great spirits, and he's excited to see Bill Cowher. Chris Rock is. He's excited to see Bill Cowher as Cowher is to see him, and that's saying a lot because Cowher is a huge Chris Rock fan. He was like, Bill Cowher, man, my brother is a Steelers fan. Let's get a selfie right now. I can't wait to send this to my brother who loves you and loves the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who knew? Chris Rock is a Jets fan. His brother loves the Steelers. So we were able to talk with him for a few minutes before the show and a few minutes after. And I got to tell you, for everybody who's looking for that big aha, he dissed Will Smith. He was going to say this about Will Smith. He didn't really bring it up. Technically, he didn't bring it up. I'm going somewhere. Mm-hmm. Technically, he didn't bring up Will Smith, although I'm told that on the first night, because we were there for performance number 6. He did 2 days for 3 nights. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we were there for the 6th. But on the first night of the performance, he got a 3-minute standing ovation, and he got a little tearful. He was pretty emotional from the experience.
Remember we played the sound the next day. We played the audio. We couldn't see it, but we played the audio the next day. Yeah.
But those in the know say that he was a little shaken by it. But by the time he got to performance number 4, performance number 5, and what we got, performance number 6, it was vintage Chris Rock. Let's just take away all the other stuff away. Mike, I know we go back, we quote Chris Rock all the time. This is, and I followed his whole career. This has got to be in his top 5. Appropriate. This has got to be in his top 5. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
I love that movie.
This was, so we say, I'm telling you, he didn't talk about Will Smith, but he really did, because I think the theme of the show, knowing that he wrote this long before the incident happened, it's prophetic. It's a prophetic comedy special. It's pointed. It's efficient. He's talking about what we can say and what we can't say. He's talking about sensitivity. He's talking about pushing things to a point where some people are uncomfortable. He talks about the breakdown of conversations.
And did he do it in such a way? Let me ask you this: did he do it in such a way where it's like, almost like, and tell me if this makes sense, almost like it was like nothing ever happened? You understand what I'm saying? Was he vintage, rare form? The Chris Rock we've all come to know, love, and appreciate. Yeah. And it's almost like you wouldn't know he was going through one of the biggest controversies or scandals, whatever you want to call it, in America right now. It's like, so even though what he said resonated, given what had happened a week ago last night, you couldn't really tell from his performance, it sounds like. Like, it's almost like he was just on his game.
Hey, look, man.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's amazing to be able to perform in spite of that. That's crazy. In and of itself, to be able to be brilliant at maybe one of your darkest hours is incredible.
And you spent a lot of time here. You spent a lot of time in Boston. So you know, in Boston, this is a city where chants break out. Before they won the World Series, you could be at a wedding and you get a Yankee suck chant. Like, wait a minute, what? What? Excuse me? What? So there were some, F. Will Smith chants. He shut that down. No. There were a couple of people who thought that we came to listen to them and not Chris Rock. He just ignored them. Like, stop. You can't compete with Chris Rock. You go be a comedian when we came here to see Chris Rock?
The members of the audience were more in their feelings than he was, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, no question.
Interesting.
But I am telling you, there's a lot of truth there. And like most comedy, it's funny, and then you think about it some more and be like, that's deep. That's insightful. Like even like when he was telling jokes, and one of the jokes, I'm not going to give it away because I want you to see it, but one of the jokes he was talking about the privilege of being rich.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, we went to Disney, and like my kids weren't waiting for the characters; they were bringing the characters to us. He was like, I smoked a joint with Goofy, He's like, Chris Rock, but he said something like, when he was talking about raising kids who were rich, but trying to teach them lessons, he was like, look, I'm rich, but I identify as poor. I was like, oh, that's deep.
Yeah.
That is deep. It's good.
Yeah.
This is Chris Rock at his height. And I don't know what's going to come out of this whole thing, but I know that he's still doing it. That he hasn't been thrown off. He didn't back down. He didn't pull punches.
Ticket sales through the roof. Yeah.
As they should have been. And Mike, let me tell you, there wasn't a lull. There wasn't a single law. I kept waiting for, like, okay, that joke. No. All of them, boom, popping.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Michael, that may be as impressive as his poise in the moment. As impressive as his poise in the moment was, knowing that he has like just gone on and crushed it, didn't postpone, the performance didn't suffer, and not just that, again, continuing to meet and greet and do the Chris Rock thing, be Chris Rock, and keep it pushing, is pretty inspirational in and of itself. Like that's, we all saw his professionalism when he just kept the show moving after Will Smith slapped him. But based on what you're describing, he hasn't missed a beat. What was he like though? And I'm sure nobody talked about it. I'm assuming nobody talked about it in the dressing room before and after the show. But just from a spirit, from a mood standpoint, you said he was excited to see Bill Cowher and send a selfie to his brother. Just what was the feeling like, the atmosphere like in the dressing room when you were around him, given everything that's going on?
It was cool, and Mike, you can relate to this. Like, this is why, it's nice to be friends with people who know people. If I'm not friends with Bill Cowher, I don't get a chance to meet Chris Rock. If I'm not friends with Michael Smith, I don't get a chance to meet Black Thought behind the scenes. And you remember, here's the link. And I know you remember this, one of the many times that we were able to see Black Thought before and after a show. Remember the one we saw him after he dropped the legendary freestyle, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Funkmaster Flex.
Yeah.
We're talking to him.
So this was in Rhode Island. This was in Rhode Island.
No.
We saw him in Rhode Island.
No, this was the one in Boston, because we saw him in Boston and then turned around. So we saw him in Boston in December, like we usually did. Saw him in Boston in December of. Right. It was maybe a couple of weeks after the freestyle.
Because you remember and I don't.
Maybe
17?
You
remember. I don't remember.
I think this is what it was.
I'm accepting your representation.
Yeah. I think we saw him in Boston in December of 17. And then turned around and saw him in Rhode Island in July of 18, June or July of 18. So it was pretty quick turnaround. But the time we saw him right after the freestyle, we were like, yo, man, that freestyle was crazy. He was like, yeah, I had some things on my mind. and then, but I was like, okay. Then it was like it was like 25 minutes before the show. Then he went out and he did it again, and they changed up the music. He was like, yeah, it kind of threw me off a little bit because the tempo was different. So I had to switch it up. I'm like, okay. But it's the fact that he was able to just talk with us normally, and then 25 minutes before the show. Same thing with Chris Rock. We're in his dressing room. Somebody came in and said, okay, 30 minutes. He was like, oh, cool. Anyway, so like, yo, man, you got a show to do in 30 minutes. But he was calm. He was really, I would say, just chill, just relax.
Yeah.
And this will tell you about the tunnel vision, my tunnel vision and Cowher's tunnel vision. Because he's talking to Cowher, I'm sitting there watching. I'm just like, man, I can't believe I'm in here, with Chris Rock. Both Cowher's wife, V, my wife, Oni, after the show, they say to both of us, say to the fellas, hey, did y'all notice that he had kind of like a shrine? So he had some candles there with a picture of Prince. Cowher was like, nah, I didn't see it. I was like, no, I didn't see it. But it was just like, what they were seeing the entire field. I think both of us were just like,
right. The football coach and the author completely missed it. Yeah.
How cool is that, though? A shrine to Prince, but maybe that's where he draws his inspiration before every show. But it was a great time.
Interesting.
And I'm sure there will be some type of special. But check this one out.
Good.
This is one of his best.
Do you know? Did I ever tell you? I mean, this dude's comedy is so important. It really is. I mean, Chris Rock's one of those dudes that I quote. At a certain point you quote rap songs but don't realize you're quoting rap songs. Like Chris Rock's comedy is so important to the culture, to popular culture, to the lexicon, whatever you want to call it. It's like we speak in Chris Rock. We quote Chris Rock and don't even realize we're quoting Chris Rock. Like some of his lines just are so just so easy to fall back on in conversation. And everybody gets it. That's the other part. Everybody gets it. You don't have to explain it as Chris Rock. Everybody gets the reference. They get the joke.
Right.
I ever tell you my favorite thing I ever saw Chris Rock in? I've never seen him in a stand-up special. I saw him on Broadway in the MFer with the Hat, a play called The MFer with the Hat. And I was front row. And it was incredible. What? Yeah, that's the name of the play.
So
I'm not sure.
So
I'm not sure the origin of it.
Whose play is that?
I'm not. You know what? I don't even know. I'm ashamed to say I don't even know. And I should have looked it up. But it was brilliant, and he was brilliant. Really, really good. I really enjoyed that. Well, since you've kind of opened the door for us to converse about the slap a week and a day later. First of all, doesn't it feel like it was a year ago? Like the last week.
It was just a week.
This time last week, we were trying to unpack what we saw the night before, right? It was all good just a week ago. It was a week ago last night. And of course, everybody at the Grammys had jokes or thought they had jokes. Everybody thought they were going to be the only one to make a reference to presenters getting slapped. I didn't watch much of the Grammys, but I saw that was a pretty popular topic, predictably so.
How could it not be? How could it not be? Right.
Saturday Night Live did the cold open on it.
Well, they waited.
They
waited. They did their Fox and Friends open, and then they tried. It was, you know what it was like, Mike? It was almost like somebody saying, "Man, I'm so tired of talking about this. Do we have to? Do we have to?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should probably do it. All right. Well, we're not doing it off the top. We're not going to do it. We're going to keep them waiting.
Let's be a little bit different. Yeah. Let's back them down in the post a little bit. Let's just not. Yeah. No, that's fair. But I mean, the big development is, of course, that Will Smith on Friday resigned from the Academy after his quote-unquote inexcusable actions at the Oscars. And this is his words. My actions at the 94th Academy Awards presentation were shocking, painful, and inexcusable. The list of those I have heard is long and includes Chris, his family, and many of our dear friends and loved ones, all those in attendance and global audiences at home. I betrayed the trust of the Academy. I deprived of the other nominees and winners of their opportunity to celebrate and be celebrated for their extraordinary work. I am heartbroken, was the headline statement. I want to put the focus back on those who deserve attention for their achievements and allow the Academy to get back to the incredible work it does to support creativity and artistry in film. And this is as disciplinary proceedings against Smith continue. And his resignation from the Academy was, of course, accepted. Listen, man, I don't have a whole lot to add that we didn't already cover last week, that the infinite number of think pieces have covered. The only thing I would say is this, as you know, a week ago today, we devoted pretty much, with little exception, the entirety of the show to responding to what happened at the Oscars, is that I feel the same way as I did then, which is that I think I started off by saying certain occupations, certain lifestyles, certain activities, certain choices come with consequences. And I look at Will Smith right now, and I say the same thing. And I go back to last Monday. I said, I wish to God that he would not have reacted that way, even though that reaction to somebody insulting a loved one in your presence is common. People get slapped every day, B, to paraphrase the other paid in full, okay? Yeah. But now come the consequences. And I think what's interesting is that many would say that Will Smith's reaction to Chris Rock's joke at his wife's expense was disproportionate. I'm prepared for a disproportionate response, potentially, from the Academy. And that's what happens when you decide. Yeah. See, I mean, look, Michael, everything I'm saying right now, take out Chris Rock and a joke about somebody's wife and insert Will Smith and putting your hands on somebody. When Will Smith decided that his reaction was going to be to get up and stroll up on stage and slap Chris Rock, now you have, much like Chris Rock put himself at the mercy of Will Smith's response and his emotions and his protective instincts, now Will Smith has put himself at the mercy of the Academy and their instincts to protect that institution and their agenda and their CYA mode. And so now we'll see. And it's unfortunate, but this is the chance you take. This is what you bring upon yourself when you decide to put your hands upon somebody else. So just like Chris Rock had to live with the reaction of Will Smith because he provoked Will Smith, not saying he deserved it, but that's the order of what happened. Now you have Will Smith provoking the Academy, and despite Roman Polanski and Woody Allen and Harvey Weinstein, or even if you want to cross over to the Grammys and Louis C.K. last night, the Academy is now going to proverbially slap Will Smith, and that's unfortunate. So this story isn't going anywhere, but I think for me, the overall life lesson, the overall takeaway, the overall teachable moment is consistent for me. Last week it was every action has a reaction. Same thing this week. Unfortunately, Will Smith is now at the mercy of the Academy when it comes to its disciplinary proceedings. He'll still be rich, he'll still be famous, he'll still be beloved. But all the fallout from it, the reputational damage, the heartbreak that I'm sure he's enduring, the heartbreak that Chris Rock is having to endure and push through, all those things are the reactions of his choices. So that's all I got. That's all I got on Will Smith. When I saw it, I was like, I mean, this is what happens. This is to be expected.
You know what I thought? I thought, you know, as I was sitting there watching the show, Chris Rock doing this thing, I was sitting between the ladies, my wife and Coward's wife, and I kept saying to both of them during the show.
Yeah, they had to break y'all up. Y'all have been shoo-shooing and kikiing the whole time. They had to break y'all up.
Right. He said, look, I said, wow, another level. He just went to another one. Is there another level to go to? Yes. He went to another one. So he just kept rising. He kept climbing. And I wonder if that's the story of where we're going to be right now with both of their careers. I mean, Chris Rock, how much higher can you go? He's already in the upper 1% of his career. I mean, He's hosted the Oscars. He's been in movies. He's had comedy specials. He's been in plays on Broadway. I didn't even know about that. There's not a lot to be done that Chris Rock hasn't. Chris Rock can't say, well, I've never done that before. Mm. But there are going to be other opportunities for him to even be more exalted than he is right now. And I wonder if we look at Will Smith and say, all right, he's already peaked. Is there a comeback for this? Now, there should be. There should be,
always,
but you just don't know.
It typically is.
You don't know how things turn out. But Chris Rock, clearly right now, Chris Rock is going in one direction, and Will Smith for now, the approval ratings have gone down. But here's the other thing. At the end of this show, I was like, what was the G.I. Jane joke again? Because there was some stuff in this show. That G.I. Jane joke is kindergarten material. I mean, just for us. I'm not talking about for the person who was offended by it or the people, the family that was offended by it. Nah, man. Nah.
Different setting though. Different setting. Not to argue again, but just like the criticism of Will Smith was, that's not the time or the place. It's a different tenor of jokes, tone and tenor of jokes to be expected, especially at a nominee's wife's expense. You know, different, not the time and necessarily the place. Even if they are going in opposite directions, I hope they come together at some point. And I'll come back to this point later on. Those two, if they sat down and unpacked this together, the good they could do, the good that could come from this ugly situation. So, you know, I said from the beginning, man, it was ugly all around. I know you agree, ugly all around. It still feels fresh, and it feels like a year ago. But I'm glad you got to see him, and I'm glad he was doing good, and I'm glad you got your money's worth.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.